everyone, I'm Pratima. So Apple currently sells three affordable non-Pro iPhones right now: the iPhone 14, the iPhone 15 and the latest iPhone 16. Apple has already discontinued selling the iPhone 13, so now we have these three choices. The iPhone 14 and iPhone 15 are already available at greatly discounted prices right now, whereas the iPhone 16, the new model, is still selling at the MRP price. But we can expect all these phones to get like 10 to 20% off during the sale. Anyway, which is the most value for money iPhone right now? Let's talk about that. But let me tell you right away that in the last 3 or 4 years, all these non-Pro iPhones have seen incremental upgrades only. And this is quite noticeable in their designs. All of these three phones have the same hands-on feel, almost the same weight distribution, ergonomics and everything. If I absolutely have to nitpick, the iPhone 14 has a glossy finish at the back, while the iPhone 15 and 16 both come with matte finishes, so they are less prone to getting smeared with fingerprints. The iPhone 16 also has this vertical camera module, and hence you can use it to shoot spatial video and watch it in the expensive Vision Pro. And of course, we get a few more additions like this camera button and the action button on the iPhone 16. Likewise, with every new generation, the glass protection becomes better. The second gen ceramic shield on the iPhone 16 is 2 times tougher than the ceramic shield on the iPhone 15, and the Corning Gorilla Glass protection on the iPhone 14 is a little less robust than the iPhone 15. So durability wise, the latest iPhone is marginally better. All of these three iPhones have the same level of dust and water protection though, IP68 rated to last for 30 minutes under 6 meter deep water. Oh, there is one important difference though. The iPhone 14 has a lightning port while the newer models have Type-C. So if you get the iPhone 14, you will have to carry around a lightning cable with you all the time. Do note that even though the iPhone 15 and 16 have Type-C, they only support the slower USB 2.0 just like the iPhone 14. So copying files to and from all of these three iPhones is going to be slower. On the positive side, at least we can connect an external drive on the newer iPhones without having to use a dongle, unlike the iPhone 14, which is one less thing to worry about, I guess. Now, on the front, the biggest difference is that the iPhone 14 comes with this big ugly notch, while the iPhone 15 and 16 feature the dynamic island. Now, I wouldn't say that dynamic island is tiny and unobtrusive in any way, but it does have little quirks of its own, so it's somewhat better to have it. Other than that, all of these three iPhones have excellent quality screen, from the color reproduction to contrast to responsiveness. Everything is just top notch. And with every new generation, the brightness levels have also become higher and higher. The iPhone 16 and the iPhone 15 aren't that far off when it comes to brightness, but you will notice the iPhone 14 to be slightly less bright in outdoor sunny conditions. Again, if I have to nitpick, the iPhone 16 can go really dim, but when you compare them side by side, the difference noticed is just minimal. And I am actually surprised by how good the speakers sound on the iPhone 14. To be clear, the iPhone 16 sounds the fullest, but the 14 and 15 are not that far off either. There is only like tiny differences. Anyway, coming back to the display, I guess the biggest bottleneck in the displays from all of these phones is their 60Hz screen. So no matter how good their displays are, I've always felt that smoothness is missing while using these phones. Not only during normal usage, the 60Hz screen is also a bottleneck when it comes to high FPS gaming, because no matter how optimized games are on iOS, you cannot play any game at more than 60 FPS on these phones. Now, don't get me wrong, the gaming performance on all of these three phones is good. Even the 3-year-old A15 Bionic on the iPhone 14 still gives like really good and stable gaming performance, especially in games like PUBG. It's amazing how the average FPS and 1% lows are all very similar among the three. And all of these three phones did not heat much while playing PUBG for 30 minutes either. But while playing Genshin Impact for a similar amount of time, as you can see from this perf dog chart, I got better stability with the iPhone 16. However, to produce that stable result, it was the iPhone 16 that heated up the most while playing Genshin Impact as well. And not just that, the iPhone 16 generally gets hotter than the other iPhones while running demanding tasks like running benchmarks or while recording a 4K video. Now, if I have to rank these three phones in terms of how much they heat, the sequence would be something like the iPhone 14, then the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 16 on the top. But at the same time, it's the most powerful as well. And if you are a content creator like me, you will find the iPhone 16 rendering your videos slightly faster. Not by a huge margin, but yes, it is slightly faster. I was also hoping app opening and all to be a bit faster on the iPhone 16 since it now has 8 GB of RAM compared to 6 GB on the other two, but I actually didn't find much of a difference, to be honest. Again, that 2 GB extra RAM is definitely going to come in handy when Apple Intelligence arrives in the future for all the AI workload it will have to handle. Which reminds me, one of the biggest differences between the iPhone 16 and the other two is the fact that the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 15 do not support Apple Intelligence while the iPhone 16 does. So if in any way you think all those AI features are going to come handy for you, you might want to consider getting the iPhone 16. All of these phones are running on the latest iOS 18 as of this date, and Apple's update policy is pretty good. So even if you get the iPhone 14, you will still be sorted for like 3 to 4 more years, and not to mention the other two will get even more years of software updates. Okay, so now it's time to take out the big guns. I mean, let's talk about the cameras. I know you guys are interested in knowing which iPhone performs better. So spec-wise, all of these three have a dual camera setup at the back. The iPhone 14 has a 12 megapixel main and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera, while the iPhone 15 and 16 have a higher resolution 48 megapixel cameras along with 12 megapixel ultra-wide sensors. Let me tell you, the core camera quality on these phones is good, like really good. It's just that the iPhone 14's images are slightly softer when you zoom in when put directly against the 24 megapixel pixel binned images of the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 16. There are also slight color tone variations among the three, but if I keep the nitpicking aside, there is not much to differentiate. The only thing that's missing on the iPhone 14 versus the iPhone 15 and 16 is the 2x mode, which means you won't be able to take lossless 2x photos from the iPhone 14, and there is no 2x portrait mode either. The 1x portraits appear very similar from these phones. If you zoom in, once again, the iPhone 14's images don't have as much details as the other two, but normally they look very similar. Even the nighttime images have very similar properties among the three. The iPhone 15 and 16 have slightly better glare management than the iPhone 14, but if you're not shooting directly against the light source, glare is not a problem even on the iPhone 14. The ultra-wide images during the day again are very similar, but at night the iPhone 15 and 16 are able to manage slightly better brightness as well as details than the iPhone 14. And unless you zoom in, the selfies look one and the same too. The iPhone 14 has a tendency to soften the images and sometimes the highlights are a little out of place, but besides that, I cannot tell much differences between the three. Of course, the newer iPhone 16 has a few more tricks up its sleeves, like you can shoot macro photos and videos with its ultra-wide-angle lens, and then you get photographic styles here which lets you choose among different filter options, effects, etc. When it comes to videos, all of these three phones can shoot smooth 4K 60fps videos without any trouble, and the quality even from the iPhone 14 is top-notch, be it from the front camera or the back camera. The only thing that is different is that the iPhone 14 does not let you switch lenses while recording at 4K 60fps, while the other two let you do that. And also, the ultra-wide-angle videos from the iPhone 14 are slightly muddier at night, but in normal conditions, I am surprised by how well the iPhone 14 has managed to compare with the other two. Alright, so with this, we have come towards the end of this video, but there are a few more things that you need to know. For instance, how's the battery life, especially on the iPhone 14, which is 3 generations old at this point. It has the smallest battery capacity of the three, and in my test, I was getting around 5 hours of screen on time here, which means on normal usage with a full charge, it might give up on you towards the evenings. The iPhone 15 and 16 both will provide you more than 6 hours of screen on time with no trouble. Charging all of these phones is quite slower, and it takes more than 1 hour with their 20-watt support. Now, talking about the extras, for some reason Apple has decided to go with older Bluetooth 5.3 version even on the new iPhone 16. In fact, all of these three iPhones support Bluetooth 5.3, so you will get similar Bluetooth connectivity on all three phones. However, that's not the same with the cellular connectivity though. With every new generation of iPhones, the 5G cellular connectivity improves. Like on the iPhone 14, we get the Snapdragon X65 modem, while on the iPhone 15, there is the X70, and on the iPhone 16, Apple has provided the latest X75. Okay, so circling back to my initial question, which starter iPhone should you buy then? Well, if budget is a constraint, then getting the iPhone 14 is not a bad idea, even in 2024, because you're still getting a flagship design, a good OLED display, speakers that are almost as impactful as the newer models, and there is very less compromise in the camera and performance as well. The major setback could be two things: the lightning port and the battery life. So if you have the budget headroom, in my opinion, getting the iPhone 15 is the best deal right now. It enjoys the perks of the dynamic island, bigger battery, 2x more in portraits, better glass protection, and slightly better photos than the iPhone 14. It's almost the same as the iPhone 16. Actually, you're getting it for a much lesser cost as well. Right now, it's 23,000 cheaper than the iPhone 16. Yes, it will not receive Apple Intelligence, but I don't think a few AI features is going to change the entire smartphone experience at all. And even if you're thinking of buying the iPhone 16, I would suggest you wait for a few months before its prices go down, just like we saw with the iPhone 15. Alright everybody, that was my full comparison between these three iPhones, the iPhone 14, 15 and 16. Which one would you go for? Do let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Saying this, I'm Pratima and thank you so much for watching.